Happening right now on Sports Extra, Matty Ice takes charge of the Falcons, and we've got ourselves an ice storm. Coincidence? I think not. We're breaking down the first week of Kevin Stefanski as the Falcons head coach as well. Oh, and Cooperstown, you better get ready for Braves country again because Andruw Jones is finally a Hall of Famer.
I still live in Atlanta. My kids grew up in Atlanta. I feel like I live in Atlanta more than I live in Curacao. So, it's like I'm basically Atlantan. So, it's just a great honor to be, going into the Hall of Fame as Atlanta Braves and get another member of Atlanta Braves into the Hall of Fame.
Atlanta influences everything, baby. Plus, Super Bowl 60, it is set. We're getting you ready for the big game. You can watch right here on 11 Alive in just 2 short weeks. We know you're hunkered down at home right now, so what better way to spend it than watching Sports Extra with us? It starts now. Welcome to the show, everyone. I know you're wondering why these guys aren't in studio with me. Well, if you've been listening to our meteorologist covering Fern over the last couple of days, they've done a tremendous job, and that's why we're going to keep our guests safe. We didn't want them to travel into the studio. Hope you guys are staying off the roads as well. So you guys look warm and cozy. I've been in this building for the last 48 hours, so I'm warm and cozy on the bottom. I got sweatpants on for the first time for this show. We got Joe Patrick and Grant McAuley, my good friends, with me, and all 92.9 The Game show. So great to see your smiling faces, but we have to start with the Super Bowl. We got a rematch of Super Bowl 49. Let's go. Patriots and Seahawks set for Super Bowl 60 this year in Santa Clara. Just 2 weeks from now right here on 11 Alive. Storylines galore in this one, you guys. Joe, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
It's really, the two teams, the two organizations, I think, that are deserving to win, not just to make the Super Bowl this year, but for what they've done for the last 10 years, 20 years. We obviously know that the Patriots have this long history of Super Bowls under Tom Brady, but then to, kind of come out in a different era and prove it once again. Under Robert Kraft, the owner, with Mike Vrabel. I know we'll talk about him in a little bit. And then the Seattle Seahawks as well. Just an unbelievable story. The GM there, John Schneider, has now been to 2 Super Bowls with the Seahawks with 0 players on each of those 2 rosters, the first GM ever to do that with the same team. So just 2 really well-run organizations this year.
Could potentially be a little bit of redemption for Sam Darnold. Such a cool story for that quarterback. If you remember, he said he was seeing ghosts when he was in a Jets uniform playing the Patriots. Now he's going to meet up with them in California and hope to lift the Lombardi over them, which would be so insane. Grant, same for you. What do you think about this matchup? It's a good one.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating, too, when we talk about that rematch factor, because there's a lot of time that's passed, and now these are 2 teams that are seemingly, at least for the Patriots now, on the rise. A very different look for them. For the Seahawks, yeah, it's going to be totally different personnel, but I think a familiar feeling for them, and the redemption has to be on their mind. There's a little bit of unfinished business between these 2 teams. I think that's kind of a fun storyline, even if a little bit of time has passed. It should be an intriguing matchup, and obviously we got a couple of really different style games to get us there for these 2 teams to punch their tickets.
Yeah, for sure. What a championship Sunday. So phenomenal that you guys were all able to watch from home, just cozy by the fire, all that good stuff, just enjoying all the football. And I think it's funny because a lot of people were annoyed that the Chiefs kept making the Super Bowl. They felt the same way about the Patriots. This is a new era of Patriots team. So Chiefs are not in, Patriots are back. A lot of people disgruntled about this, but Drake May, he's an exciting quarterback, Joe. He's very young. He's the second youngest quarterback to start in a Super Bowl behind Dan Marino. What does this run for him actually mean for the future of the Patriots with him as the signal caller?
I mean, it's let's be honest, it's unfair. The other teams just get things that us Falcons fans, we hope and dream of these kinds of things for so long. But I mean, obviously, it sets up the Patriots to just be in contention year in, year out. Like, that is the kind of quarterback play you need. Not just that Drake May is giving the Patriots good quarterback play, but it's the way that he does it with the creation, the play extension. That is the kind of thing that you need to succeed in the modern NFL. And he's certainly shown that he's capable capable of doing it and not get hurt in the interim. Like, that's the big thing, is like when a lot of quarterbacks want to be able to play this way, but they can't keep themselves healthy. Drake May's done a great job this year.
Let's stick with the Falcons theme here, because Drake May was in the same draft class as Michael Penix Jr. Okay, the Falcons did not have an opportunity to draft him, but when you think about the Falcons, they interviewed the two head coaches that are going to be playing in the Super Bowl when Raheem Morris got the job. My X, or Twitter, people are very unhappy that I tweeted that out. Let's start with Mike Vrabel, Grant, because he took a 4-win Patriots team, goes in there, turned them into a Super Bowl contender in one season. It's the team he played for, by the way. How impressive is this turnaround that Vrabel has had in New England?
Well, it's extremely impressive, and it's uncommon, obviously. I mean, when you go back into an organization, even one you know really well, but it's just not up to that level that you expect it to be or that it has been in the past, you knew you had to roll up your sleeves and get some work done. They just got it done very quickly. Now, drafting a franchise quarterback will certainly help you out with that, and Drake May's a guy that, you know, if New England was in the market for a guy who could be a perennial MVP winner, it looks like they got another one of those. So that certainly helps them out. But what he's been able to do, and I think this is something that, you know, we'll talk about this as we get to it, the consistency, the culture, the things that you need to have in place, it appears that New England was able to put it in place with talent and get the most out of that talent. And it appears that for New England, they're just on the rise again. So it's kind of the blueprint for what you'd love to see for Kevin Stefanski and for the Atlanta Falcons in the future. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but obviously the turnaround is very impressive, and it happened in a very short amount of time.
Mike Vrabel, by the way, can make NFL history. He could become the first guy to win a Super Bowl with the team not only he played for, but a team he coached for as well. Really cool stuff. Let's flip to the Seattle Seahawks head coach. He went to Centennial High School. It's the Mike Super Bowl, Mike versus Mike. So Mike McDonald went to Centennial and Georgia Joe. He's got an unbelievable team out there in Seattle. What exactly is exciting about the way that he's put this group together?
Yeah, to me, he is the prototype modern NFL head coach. And I know when a lot of people think of that, they think about actually the Sean McVays, the Kyle Shanahans, the offensive play callers. But I think the NFL right now is marked as, like, the trademark of it is just these defenses and the way that they're playing and how hard it is to play quarterback in this environment with what these defenses are doing. Mike McDonald is one of those guys who's really instituted that, going back to when he was the DC at Baltimore, from what he did at Michigan.
Yeah.
And certainly he just shows incredible chops on the tactical side of the ball that puts his players in great positions to make plays and win games.
Yeah, I mean, puts a lot of pressure on us here in Atlanta when you see guys like that turning around a team so quickly. Really, really quickly, I do want to talk about another local connection, Matthew Stafford, who obviously will not be playing in the Super Bowl, but he's had such an NFL caliber MVP season. He's a finalist, so is Drake May, but obviously that is cut short now, Grant. But what do you love about the way that Matt has played in his 17th year in the NFL?
He just continues to find ways, and I think he's getting better the older he gets, and perhaps that's something that speaks to, you know, taking that experience and being able to just make yourself that much better, being able to take those lessons, being able to apply, and obviously being talented. The guy's a gunslinger. I would expect nothing less than to see him back in this kind of position in the future, but just one of those things where sometimes the cast around you, some of the plays that don't go your way, you can't lay it all at Matt Stafford's feet. I think he gave the Rams an incredible season, and that's not altogether surprising because I think it's what makes him one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
That is for sure. We'll see who ends up winning that MVP. All right, guys, coming up, we are a week into the Kevin Stefanski era right here in Atlanta, and Falcons fans, y'all got some strong opinions about this hire, to say the least. We're going to talk all about that after the break. Welcome back, everybody. Falcons fans, listen really closely to me here. I know you guys have a lot of opinions about Kevin Stefanski, but let's pump the brakes on all of the opinions until he actually gets on the football field and shows us what he's going to do, right? He's officially introduced as the Falcons head coach on Tuesday. You guys are very split when it comes to this hiring. I'm talking to the fans directly. I know there's not a lot he can say right now, Joe, that will actually justify whether or not you think he should have been hired or not, but what can he say to win back some of the trust of these fans on Tuesday?
I mean, I think the only thing he can really talk about in this press conference is what his vision is for this organization, for this football team, and how he can get them moving in the right direction, the winning direction. You know, that's what Matt Ryan said in his press conference when he was introduced as the president of football, which is no agenda, just win. That's all we're trying to do here. And I think that that's all Kevin Stefanski can do. You know, I don't think that there's much he can do to defend himself, like in a press conference against some of these like allegations, I guess you could call them, that have kind of been thrown around on the internet. People won't believe him. You know, it's kind of a conspiratorial mindset from some of these people, and there's nothing that he can say to kind of, kind of put himself in the right light in their eyes, other than just kind of saying that this is going to be a winning franchise under me, and then prove it after that.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're really deciding your future on what you put on the board, meaning wins and losses. That's the only thing that matters to people in the NFL or in football in general. But he's starting to put his staff in place, and this is huge, right? He's got his coordinators in place, so we'll talk about them. Starting on the offensive side of the ball, Grant, Tommy Rees coming to Atlanta from Cleveland, spent the last 2 seasons on Stefanski's staff, of course. He's very young, and he's got some experience, but not a ton as a play caller in the NFL. What do you think about this hire?
Yeah, this one I think is one of those that you're also going to have to file under exactly what we just talked about, which is we can certainly spill a lot of words on it, but actions are ultimately going to speak and bear out whether or not this was a good hire. You're right. He does not have a ton of experience. I believe that Stefanski handed him the play calling duties with 8 games to go last season. He's 33 years old. I mean, he's got a pedigree. He knows the game, but this feels like a little bit of a speculative hire, but maybe this is just one of the cases where being familiar with Kevin Stefanski, they do share that same vision. You're going to need that continuity, because I think that's the thing to kind of go back to what Stefanski can say. Not a whole lot of anything. It's what he does that people are ultimately going to want to see, and ultimately what he's going to be measured by. The same thing will be true for Tommy Rees. His offense last year had some highs, but also some lows. That sounds awfully a lot like the Atlanta Falcons a year ago, but they need that consistency, and that's going to start with who in the world's under center. And Stefanski and Rees have both been trying to answer that question dating back to their time in Cleveland, and perhaps in a more crazy manner than we could have ever imagined down here in Atlanta, and in a way I don't ever want to imagine down here, to be honest with you.
Great. It's funny, if someone's telling me that they don't like turbulence and they don't like roller coasters, don't be a fan of this team, please, because you need to buckle up and fasten your seatbelt a little tighter. I think it's going to get a little crazier as we go into the season and the offseason for sure. One of the smartest things he could have done, according to the fan base, is retaining Jeff Ulbrich as his defensive coordinator. Joe, why was this an important move for Stefanski to make?
I think it was important. I think, frankly, that Matt Ryan felt like it was really important for Jeff Ulbrich to stay based on what he saw, the way that he was able to lead this young defensive group last year. And, Jeff Ulbrich is a guy who's built really great relationships with so many of these young players. I think they started to believe in him and trust in him. And then you have that great relationship as like a mentor and a coach and somebody who clearly has put these guys in a really good tactical position to, put them in position to succeed. Like we were talking about with Mike McDonald, this team, breaks out and finally is able to rush the passer last year under Jeff Ulbrich with these guys. So I think it was more, Arthur Blank said in his end of season press conference, he was going to strongly recommend that they keep Jeff Ulbrich. I kind of feel like it was more of you need to keep Jeff Ulbrich or we're going to move on.
Yeah, exactly. I think there was a little bit of a nudge under the table, if you will, when they were interviewing these candidates. I think it's so important that Jeff is still here, especially when you have such young pieces on your defense who you want to be with this organization for a very long time. But you also have someone that you got to figure out, the general manager. To be honest with you, I'm a little bit surprised they haven't named one, because I would have thought they would have introduced them in tandem on Tuesday, but still could happen. 6 candidates have been interviewed, Grant, and probably one will be named shortly. What do you feel like is a very important attribute that this general manager has to have?
I think ultimately you're looking for somebody who can come in and confidently make moves and have that vision, because I think that the Falcons in a lot of ways, and this wasn't overnight, but they did wake up and realize that they're a team that's struggling to find its identity and struggling to have, I think, the leadership in place to share that vision that they need to in order to get to do the things they want to do and to get the places they want to get, which, by the way, is winning seasons, back to the playoffs, and competing for a Super Bowl. That's the ultimate goal here. There's just everybody's going to have a united front. So putting Matt Ryan in place, getting the head coach in place, whether he comes before or after the GM, I don't think really matters altogether that much. As long as you get the right guy, everybody sits at the table and they're able to collaborate and really come up with the decision-making process that makes the Atlanta Falcons better. That's what Falcons fans are looking for. They're not necessarily looking for change. They're looking for improvement, and they've been on the lookout for that for a while.
No, you're right. Matt said that he wanted his general manager and head coach to have some synergy and some similar mindsets, but didn't need to be best friends. So that is his prerequisite for those positions. I saved this one for you, Joe, because I want you to talk about Arthur Smith, our former head coach here in Atlanta. He is gone from the NFL. He's going to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. What do you think about this for old Artie?
I texted Arthur Smith when I heard the news, and I sent him a picture of that football that's behind me right there. That's signed by a national championship team, the 2002 Ohio State national championship team. I said, you need to bring one of these back, for yourself to Columbus. I'm really excited for him, obviously, as an Ohio State fan. It's just like, I don't want to get mad at Arthur Smith now. I will actually get mad at Ohio State's offensive coordinator if he's calling bad plays. That's the way it's going to be.
I know, it's funny because for those of you that don't know, Joe is a very big Ohio State guy, and he's got a good relationship with Arthur Smith. We're excited for him to see what he can do in college. A nice change of pace for Arthur Smith. Grant, I am going to squeeze this one in because you're the Georgia connection here. Carson Beck played in a national championship game on Monday, if you can believe it. He had an opportunity to get Miami to get the go-ahead score and the touchdown. Instead, he threw an interception. A lot of Dogs fans had some opinions about that in his career. What's yours?
It's a complicated legacy, I guess, is how I would term it. And maybe that's being polite, but he was a member of the 2 national championship teams. You know, I still look at the Georgia being left out of that first year that Carson Beck was under center with their first loss in 3 years, but it was a smaller playoff at that point. So they got squeezed out. That'll be a what if season for me. The next year, that kind of started to give us a little bit of the indication of Carson Beck perhaps being a bit more erratic, and that unfortunately was how his college career ended. But I would say he did pretty well for himself in the bank account line, and we'll see what he does when it comes to the NFL draft prospects that he has down the line, because some team may be interested in a guy that was able to find some wins in a couple of different organizations, and high-level organizations at that.
Not the bank account line. And congratulations to Indiana. What a tremendous story. Guys, coming up after 9 long years, Andruw Jones, we've been waiting for this. He finally got the call to the Hall. The emotional video, we're discussing his legacy and who could be the next Brave to actually join him in Cooperstown.
To be honest with you, I never thought about when I was playing in one day that I was going to be in a Hall of Fame. I play the game because I love it. I play the game because I want to win. I play the game because I want to help my team win. I never thought about Hall of Fame one bit. You know, obviously when you retire, people start telling you, like, hey, you had a Hall of Fame career. You got a chance to be a Hall of Fame. But I never when I put my shoes on, I thought about Hall of Fame.
Just the most humble, the most kind. That answer was actually in response to Grant's question on that call. Grant, one of the best center fielders to ever play the game, of course. And Andrew, we've been waiting for him to get this call to the Hall. The longtime Atlanta Brave, now a Hall of Famer. Obviously, we wanted this to happen for such a long time, but how incredible is this moment for Jones?
Yeah, I think it's a great one, and obviously this is kind of an unparalleled journey to Cooperstown when you look at what it took on the voting just to get him there. I mean, he had to basically 10x his support from the first year. Actually, that wouldn't have gotten him in. He would have had to 10x it from the second year. He was about 7 to 7.5%. You got to get 5% just to stay on the ballot. So his climb was impressive. But I think people started to realize the steady greatness of Andruw Jones over the course of the peak prime years of his career, and the fact that he debuted at 19. And that's something that not a lot of players are doing. So, you know, he may not have been able to play all the way into his 40s and, you know, maybe pad some stats and do some things. And I know he kind of, you know, and he said, I kind of fell apart a little bit later on in the year, or a little bit later on in my latter years of my career. But 434 home runs, 10 gold gloves, multiple-time All-Star. And when you've got all of these Hall of Fame pitchers to a man saying that one of the reasons I'm standing on the stage in Cooperstown accepting this is because Andruw Jones was so steadily great in center field year after year after year. That kind of gave you everything you needed to know as far as an indicator. He had an awful lot of references, and I'm glad that he was finally able to push it in over the line and get himself into Cooperstown. Very deserving, and I think without peer defensively in center field.
Shout out to Curacao as well. Such an awesome representation for his home country. And we knew this was coming for Andruw for a very long time. Grant reeled off a bunch of his accolades, and now he gets to be a Hall of Famer at that, Joe. But what is something that you want baseball fans to remember about his very decorated career?
Yeah, I feel very lucky, Maria and Grant, as, you know, I think I was like 9 years old or so when Andruw Jones made his debut. So the majority of his career was spent in my formative years as a sports fan. And the great thing about Andruw Jones is you could go to a game. So every Braves fan that's my age has a memory of going to a Braves game and seeing Andruw Jones make just some unbelievable catch in center field, you know, whether it's the over the shoulder onto the wall or his kind of, you know, trademark almost sprinting in, kind of catching the ball while he's running in towards the plate. I mean, he was just incredible in the outfield, and obviously had kind of a storybook entrance to his career, coming on really strong in that playoffs in '96 and hitting big World Series home runs against the Yankees. So just a tremendous career, and has the great thing is that everybody has their own memory of Andruw Jones making some unbelievable play.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I think we're all fortunate to get to know Andruw on a personal level. He's just the best guy, the nicest, so humble, as I said earlier, so deserving of this honor. I could say that a million times, but I don't think Megan Smedley, our producer, would like if I kept doing that over and over. So Grant, now that Jones is a Hall of Famer, we know that there are several Braves that he played with that are Hall of Famers already, or played for that matter. Who do you believe the next Atlanta Brave should be to be a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I'm going to have to flash back, and it's the guy right here over my left shoulder, Dale Murphy, who had put up an incredible career, an incredible peak, was one of the most popular and one of the most, highest performing players of the 1980s, and I think represents everything great about the game of baseball. And that is what I would love to see, is that kind of career, that kind of life be rewarded with the immortality and that call to Cooperstown. That's the guy that I would stump for. That's the guy a lot of people are stumping for. We're still out there trying to figure out ways to dial up his support. He'll be on that contemporary era committee ballot coming up in 3 years, and we're looking forward to seeing if he can get over the finish line in a much smaller room, much smaller body of voters, but no less difficult to get the 75% support that you need to get into the Hall of Fame.
I think we're all in agreement that Dale Murphy should absolutely be a Hall of Famer. And I think every time I open my Twitter apps or Instagram or whatever, there are people vying for that to happen. So I hope it does come true for him someday. All right, guys, we're going to wrap things up when we come back. So world-renowned rock climber and all-around daredevil Alex Honnold climbed a rope-free climb, completed this climb, of the Taipei 101 skyscraper. It was broadcast live on Netflix. It's one of the tallest buildings in the world. Joe, this is right up your alley. What'd you think about it?
Is it? I don't know. So I'm not afraid of heights, but I'm afraid of other people around heights. So I was not watching this, but I was kind of tuned in. I was making sure that nothing major was happening, nothing catastrophic.
I just feel like you like stuff like that. Grant, go really quick.
Yeah, I mean, my wife and I watched that, and I told her I've not been more nervous for another human being than I was for him. But to my great surprise, he made that look relatively easy, and there was nothing easy about it.
Yeah, look, Joe, I'm disappointed now because I told you to watch Free Solo, and that's what he did. So don't listen to me, I guess. Guys, thanks for joining me from your couch, and we will see you next Sunday.